Hello, second graders. It's Miss Odie here. This video today is for students that are at a level 20 and a level 24 for reading. So this is the video for you if you are a level 20 or a level 24. If you are not, look for the video that is closest to your reading level to make sure to support you in your reading skills and your reading development. If you are a level 20 or a level 24, then let's get started. Today we are going to use our consumable, and we're also going to look at our week 2 paper. We're going to be reading Foxy Garden. So it is very helpful if you have this available as well as your consumable today. Now, these videos, these guided reading videos, are going to be over 3 days long. So today is just day 1. So as you're reading and as you're following along, watch these videos and try and do the work with Miss Odie to help you to find the best answer for your written response. Once you have everything you need, we'll be ready to get started. So today, like I said, we are going to be reading A Foxy Garden. Now, if you look over here, you can see that it says a trickster's tale. A trickster tale. So tricking someone means kind of playing a joke on them without them realizing it. You're kind of tricking them into doing something or thinking something. So this is a tale. It's not true. It's a story, it's a narrative. So we're going to be seeing how one character tries to trick another one. So this is about a fox who plays a trick on a very grumpy, selfish bear. The fox wants to teach the bear a lesson. So as we're reading, I want you to think about a couple different things. 1, we're going to think about our characters. We're going to think about character traits, which I'll put up in just a moment so you can see some different character traits. But character traits are how someone acts or how we could describe them. So, like I said, the bear is grumpy and selfish. Those are character traits based off of how the bear acts and the way that he thinks and feels. So 1, character traits. 2, the question, like I always tell, you should read it first. This is the second thing we're really going to focus on while we're reading. This says, after reading Foxy Garden, describe the fox's point of view. Use details from the selection as the basis for your explanation. So this question is asking us about Fox's point of view. Point of view is how someone thinks and how they feel. So think about your opinion. So Fox thinks one way when maybe the other characters think another way. Not everyone thinks and feels the exact same way. If they did, our world would be pretty boring. So you might say that your favorite food is this, while I might say my favorite food is that. That is our point of view and how we think and how we feel. Now, we're going to, as we read, focus on those 2 things. 1, character traits, and 2, point of view. So as you read, I want you to pause the video and see if you can underline where or circle or put a star. We're going to annotate where you see it talking about character traits, how someone acts, how someone feels, what they say, as well as their point of view. So we are looking at the fox's point of view based off this question. Okay? So if you need to, pause this video and think about what are we focusing on while we read today. Okay? Now, I want to go over a few words that you might get stuck on or you might not have ever heard before. If you have, Great. This will just be review for you. So the first word is pleasant, and it's in just even the very first sentence. Pleasant, if you know what it means, stop and say what it means right now. If you don't, pleasant is a very positive, happy word. When something is pleasant, it's good. It's great. It's enjoyable. So this one's saying a pleasant smell. So think about something that smells pleasant. The second word is high-tailed, which high-tailed is down here. This says squirrel and rabbit high-tailed it back. So we know that it's a verb. That word means to go somewhere, kind of turn around, make a U-turn really fast. So we're turning and we're running back to where maybe it's you're supposed to be in bed and your parents hear you talking and you're not supposed to be up from your bed because it's at night. And so you hightail it back to your bed to make sure that they think that you're sleeping. Of course, we never do that because when we are supposed to be going to bed, we should be going to bed. Okay, but just as an example, okay? The next word is a little bit further along. This one is on page 22. And this one says anticipation. That's a really long word. I'm going to be sounding that out. Anticipation. Anticipation. When we are anticipating something, it means that we're waiting for it and we might not be waiting for it carefully. Is it time? Is it time? Is it time? So anticipation is a noun. That means not wanting to wait, not having a lot of patience. Okay? And the last one is on page 23 at the top. It says bitter. Bitter is the way that we describe the way that something tastes in this case. Sometimes it can mean how someone's acting, but in this case, it's how something tastes. So when something's bitter, sometimes it tastes kind of sour. It's not always the best tasting thing. So maybe a fruit that isn't ripe yet can taste kind of bitter. Think about if you've ever had something that tastes bitter. So those are the words we're going to start out with. Now that we've done our introduction, we can get started on our reading. And this is how we're going to do this. You are going to read this on your own. Okay, you're going to pause the video and read it on your own. And I want you to focus on rereading if you get stuck. And if you get to a big word, I want you to sound it out again. Okay, so go ahead and pause this video and read it on your own. When you're ready, you can unpause. Now, you should have read this story on your own. If you decided to read just the first part, that's fine. It's a long story, but your goal is to read the whole thing. If you want to break it up between the 3 days that this lesson's going to be, go for it. Okay, now also another thing that you should have done when you paused this video is you should have started underlining, circling, and starring like Miss Odie asked you to. So what I mean by that is, did you start to underline how the bear was acting to describe his character traits? Did you start to underline the fox's point of view? So we're going to look at Miss Odie's whiteboard to see if you underlined some of the things that I did. So these are some character traits that we can look at. Some might describe the bear and some might not. I want you to pause the video and see if you can write down and identify the ones that would describe bear the best. After you pause this video, we'll go over them. So let's see if you circled or wrote down the same ones that I did. We know that bear is grumpy. We also know that he's greedy. We know that he's selfish, which can also go with greedy. Okay? Now, yes, he does help the fox plant the carrots and the celery, but would you say that he's helpful? No, I wouldn't. Would you say that he's polite? No. What about creative? Is he creative in the way that he does things? No. And intelligent. You could say that he's smart, but the fox was able to trick him. So would you say that he's intelligent? Maybe not. And we definitely know that if he's grumpy, greedy, or selfish, would you say that he's kind? No. Now see if you got them right. If you wrote down these three, give yourself a star or a check. Now I'm going to turn my board over so that you can see if you underlined the same things that I did in your consumable. If you did not get a chance to underline some different parts of the text that show Bear's character traits, I want you to pause the video and show them now. And underline them now. So here's what Miss Odie wrote. On page 18, we have paragraph 1. That's what that looks like, that little mark. This is paragraph 1. So right here. Okay, oops, right here. Okay, this says that Bear stuffed himself, right? He's greedy. He's focusing just on feeding himself. Then in paragraph 2, he says scram or else. So he's running after the other animals and telling them, get out of here. Then he asks the fox in paragraph 5, which is on page 19. Oops, page 19. He says, what's in it for me? That is definitely someone who says that would probably be pretty selfish. He's not really thinking about helping other people unless he gets something in return. Very selfish and greedy. In paragraph 14, he growled and roared. He's being very grumpy and angry. And then in paragraph 23, he says, it's mine, all mine. So if you didn't underline or put a star next to these, I want you to do so now. Go ahead and pause the video. Once you have underlined all of these, the next thing we're going to do is look at Fox's point of view.
Now, here are some of the parts that I underlined in my consumable. It looks a little messy, but I'll show you where we start. Over here, we have paragraph 3, right? That's P3, paragraph 3 on, excuse me, on our first page, on page 18 at the bottom, okay? So, oops, right there. So, we are looking for how Fox thinks and feels. So, the author of this story wrote that Fox is wise. A synonym for that would be that he's clever, or he's smart, or he's intelligent. We know that he's wise because he tricks Bear. So let's look at some other places where it shows us how he thinks and feels for his point of view. All of these can be included. You may have even more. I know I found more, but this is all we're going to start with today. Tomorrow, we're going to write down more and see if we can really come up with the answer to our written response, describing Fox's point of view. How does he feel or think about Bear, or think about a garden, anything like that? Okay, so I want you to be underlining these or putting stars. You can even write POV. POV stands for point of view. Okay, so this next one over here, paragraph 6, talks about where Fox says you can have everything that grows above ground. He knew right away what he was doing to trick Bear. So I underlined that. I also really paid attention to the pictures. You can see Fox's face. You can see how he feels and what he thinks about Bear. Okay? So I want to make sure to put stars next to my pictures. Maybe even put a note about what Fox is doing with his face. Then there's another one that says, Remember our deal? In paragraph 13, Fox is talking to Bear saying, you remember? Or did you forget, you silly bear? In paragraph 20, he says, how about something that makes a good salad? So each of these quotes, what he's saying, what Fox is saying in the story, talks about and supports his point of view of Bear. So all of this evidence, the stuff exactly from the text, will help us with our answer. So if you need to, pause this video and go through and underline and see if you can find any more parts that we can underline and put a star next to that will help us to understand our question. Also, I highly recommend that you go back and reread this whole story. When we have our video tomorrow for day 2, we'll read it again, but it's really important that good readers reread a text more than once. As second graders, we all know that, okay? So here's the last part of our guided reading day 1. We're going to do a little bit of word study. Now, in order to do this word study, you are going to use some letters, but you might not have the same fancy magnetic letters that Miss Odie has. That's okay. You can make some of your own. What I did is I just took a piece of paper and I cut it up and I wrote the letters right onto it, okay? So I want you to pause this video and either get your letters that you have, or maybe you have letter stamps, or you can make them using the cut up pieces of paper. These are the letters that you need: A, D, E, G, N, O, R, S, and U. You can see that the red letters are vowels, A, E, I, O, U. And the blue ones are consonants, every other letter besides A, E, I, O, or U. Okay, we don't have an I in here. Now, you might be wondering, Miss Odie, what word could we possibly spell with these letters? Well, I'm going to tell you. So pause this video whenever you need to, because we're going to be working with these letters. So make sure you have them, okay? Now, our word is dangerous. Say that with me. Dangerous. I want you to clap it out with me too so that we can do our syllables, okay? Because we as readers are going to come across words that are really big and we might not be able to read them right away. So this is a great strategy to put it into parts. So let's say that together. Ready? Dangerous. How many? 3. That's right. So you know as you take these letters to spell dangerous that it's going to be in 3 parts. I want you to pause the video and try and make the word dangerous out of these letters. Now that you've paused the videos, Miss Odie is going to show you as well. Are you ready? Dane, Okay, that's my first part. Do you have it? Dane, Ooh, G can also say the J sound. Uh-oh, I think I'm missing a letter. Can also have the E in it, okay? We're not going to have just the R, because that would say gra, but we want gur, okay? Danger, us. Well, I know it's the 3 left letters. I might say, Miss Odie, it's U-S, right? But sometimes when we have the O in a word, it can also say us. So I want you to take your letters and I want you to separate them into our 3 syllables. Do you see that? Let's say it together. Ready? Danger, us. Do it one more time. Danger, us. Now what we're going to do is I want you to mix up your letters, mix them up, and I want you to try and spell it one more time. Sound out those sounds. Spell out dangerous. Pause the video. Ready? Okay, you should have spelled it again. Danger us. There we go. Oops, let me put it there. Let's say it all together. Are you ready? Danger us. One more time, little faster. Dangerous. So when you get to a big word like this, I want you to see if you can separate it into sounds, because you may know just the certain parts, and then we can start to put it all together. Now, in our consumable, we know that there's some big words in here, right? Like anticipation that we read at the very beginning. And that's okay. You're going to sound it out. I want you to write this word 3 times on a piece of paper. And as you write it, I want you to sound it out. Danger us. And remember, if you sounded this out as Dan, think about, could it say something else? Dangerous. Does that sound like a word that I know? Yes. Not Dan. Dangerous. It's a good word, okay? So as my challenge to you is, as you keep reading, whether it be in your consumable or another book at home, don't just skip over those big words. Don't just guess. Don't just ask, what's this word, to an adult. I want you to try it out yourself. That is it for day 1, reading levels 20 and 24 for the Foxy Garden. Tomorrow, we will be reading more together, and we'll be starting to answer some of those questions. What is Fox's point of view, and how can we describe bear? And we're going to do some writing as well. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I look forward to tomorrow's video as well. Bye, second graders.